The new intern boy is chasing after me, but I discovered he's in a secret relationship with another female colleague. The two of them are using me as a cover. That woman acts all friendly in public, but laughs at me behind my back for being delusional. Chapter 1. Some women think every guy who talks to them is trying to hit on them. I accidentally came across Carolina's burner Instagram account. It was full of passive-aggressive posts mocking me, and a public couple photo of her and the intern, Christopher. Christopher is my intern. When he first joined, his good looks caused quite a stir. His photo circulated in several company chat groups. Some said he was the son of an executive from the headquarters. He was especially attentive to me. He only brought breakfast for me. He called everyone else by name, but affectionately called me sister. No matter how I corrected him, he wouldn't stop. "You're actually 4 years older than me?" he said at a company gathering, staring at me the whole time. "I thought we were the same age. You look really young." Another colleague asked me how many relationships I'd had. I looked up, trying to change the topic. Christopher caught my gaze and gave me a flirtatious smile. In front of everyone, he said, "Sister, why are you looking at me like that?" Everyone laughed in awkward silence, especially Carolina. Her eyes were full of mockery. They were toying with me, because I looked like someone with no connections and no money. I wore cheap clothes, didn't even carry a bag to work, not a single branded item on me. Unlike Carolina, who had just bought a MacBook 16, she left the Apple shopping bag on her desk for a whole week. The janitor asked, "Should I throw this empty bag away? Why are you touching my stuff?" She frowned impatiently. "But you always leave your empty bubble tea cups for days. I'm the one who has to clean them up." The janitor muttered and swept past her. Carolina rolled her eyes and said to the others. She even told the boss her daughter graduated from a top school and asked if she could get an internship. So shameless. No way. She actually asked that? Yeah. She chased him about it twice, Carolina said while touching up her makeup. Does she really think just anyone can work here? What did she apply for? Another colleague chimed in. To intern as a janitor? They burst out laughing. Before leaving work, I put on some makeup. Carolina saw it and laughed loudly. Wow. Jessica's makeup skills are really improving. So early and already ready to leave? She made herself a coffee, then walked up to me and said loudly in front of the boss, "Lucky you. Getting off work on time." Victor, our boss, glanced in my direction. He's known for being cold and capable. Everyone in the office is a little scared of him, especially Carolina, since she's the niece of a division CEO. Most people treat her with deference. Except Victor, he only cares about the work. Once, when she made a serious mistake, he scolded her to tears with a completely blank face. "If you're so envious, maybe stop standing around sipping coffee," I said, sounding like I was joking, "and stop wasting the company's water and electricity." She didn't expect me to clap back. She stood frozen for a moment, coffee in hand. Just then, Christopher came over and handed me some documents. "Sister, I've finished." He batted his eyes sweetly. "Can I go now?" "Tisk," Carolina said with a bright smile. "Are you two planning something after work?" If I hadn't seen her Instagram couple post, I might have actually believed she was trying to set us up. Christopher was standing toward me, but his eyes flicked flirtatiously at Carolina. Just for a split second, Carolina caught it and gave him a playful glare. The other colleagues were still focused on me, unaware of the silent flirting that passed between them. They clearly enjoyed the thrill of their secret affair, especially watching me act like a simp who thought a handsome guy was really into her. In Carolina's words, a toad trying to eat swan meat. Throw her a little attention, and she takes the bait, clearly someone who's never seen the real world. When the clock hit the hour, I packed up and left. Just as I stepped out and was waiting for the elevator, the receptionist messaged me on WeChat. "Jessica, they're talking about you again." She sent over the chat log from a group I wasn't in, a private group, started by Carolina. "Christopher bought Jessica bubble tea again today. You think there's really something going on between them?" "No way. What would Christopher see in her?" Carolina sent a clown meme. "Is he doing charity work?" The group exploded with laughter. "Caro, no one roasts like you. Why did the boss leave so early today? Going on a date? With Jessica?" They left at the same time. Carolina replied, LMAO. Seriously? With her? Not a chance. Honestly? Fair enough. Back when Carolina first joined the company, she made more than a few moves on Victor. Too bad he didn't give her the time of day. Unable to save face, she started making jokes in private about his sexual orientation. The elevator arrived. I went straight to the basement level parking. Just a few steps in, I saw Carolina's pink BMW Mini. Hard to miss. Every time she drove to work and ran into me, she'd tease. Oh no, I barely know how to take the subway. I'd love to experience your rush hour lifestyle one day. But what she didn't know was, I don't take the subway to work either. I walk. Because the luxury ocean view apartments across the street, going for over 150,000 renminbi per square meter, that's where I live. The truth is, the board chairman of the head office is my father. I'm the one he assigned to this branch office. I walked past her pink BMW and stopped at a black Lamborghini. Got into the passenger seat. Where's your usual car? I asked Victor, who was in the driver's seat. Weren't you trying to keep things low-key? Yeah, he was always attentive, his eyes swept over my shoulder, and he reached out to lower the AC. Today's different. Chapter 2. Today was different, because Victor's uncle had returned from overseas. Tonight was his welcome back banquet. Can I skip it? Even though I already knew the answer, I couldn't help but ask. Victor and I were childhood friends, our families were close for generations. I grew up spoiled by the elders around us, all except for his uncle, Alex. He's 10 years older than me and always had this way of putting me in my place. Back then, I was young and shallow, all about looks. Got completely caught up in Alex's charming, affectionate smile, but I didn't see past it, the fox behind the smile, hiding the knife. Right before he went abroad, I made a grand confession to him. He rejected me. Now, meeting again, it was bound to be an awkward family drama. And the best way to make people forget one scandal is to give them an even juicier one. I sighed, looking out the window, and joked. Victor, what if we just got married tonight? Normally, I talk a big game but never mean it. Victor never even bothers to respond to most of my nonsense. But today, something about this joke seemed to strike a nerve. His hand paused on the steering wheel. The air in the car went still. For once, his calm face shifted. He missed the turn he was supposed to take. Okay, that joke went too far. I rushed to walk it back. I mean, just to fool them. But the more flustered I got, the worse I spoke. Anyway, both your parents and mine do wish we. Who exactly are you trying to fool? Victor said coldly. Your parents? Or someone else tonight? There was a strange, unprovoked anger in his voice. Jessica, who is it you care about? I knew I was guilty, but being called out to my face like that, I couldn't handle it. Why was he so angry? I was just trying to lighten the mood. I mumbled, sorry. City lights blurred past the window. In that dim glow, I couldn't quite make out his expression. Chapter 3. You two fighting? At the banquet venue, my best friend Lola pulled me aside and asked. I glanced at Victor, standing not far away in a black suit. Since getting out of the car, he hadn't looked at me once. It's normal he's in a bad mood. Lola offered, analyzing the situation. Look over there. I followed her gaze. A woman in a pale, simple dress entered through the front door. Her hair was tied in a neat ponytail. Light makeup, pure and delicate, in a crowd of extravagantly dressed guests. She looked wildly out of place. She held a pot of soup she had cooked herself and walked toward Victor's grandmother. With a sweet smile, she moved naturally, like the girl next door casually dropping by, effortlessly showing off her connection with the Law family. Sure enough, the guests began whispering among themselves. Serafina, Victor Law's unattainable white moonlight, still studying abroad. She had just returned to China with Alex Law. No wonder Victor drove the Lamborghini tonight. Even the proudest man feels insecure when love is involved. I instinctively looked toward Victor, only to catch him looking at me, just for a second. Then he quickly looked away. Jessica. Serafina walked over to me under the weight of everyone's eyes. It's been years, you've gotten so polished. Unlike me, Alex takes care of me too well. I've stopped bothering with makeup. She clung to my arm with a warm, Enthusiastic expression. He says I'm becoming more and more like a little piglet. Serafina had always had a competitive streak with me. I never saw her as a rival, but she always treated me like one. And her measure of worth? How much men liked you. She pulled out her phone, insisting I see her dog. When I was staying at Alex's house in Boston, I really wanted a puppy, so he bought one for me. This is our little dog. Isn't it cute? As she showed me the pictures, she conveniently swiped to one of her and Alex together, pretending to be shy and flustered. I look terrible in this photo, but Alex won't let me delete it. Another swipe, a photo of the puppy. Around its neck was a dark blue scarf. I recognized it immediately. I'd hand-knit that scarf for Alex before he left the country. Oh no. Sorry, Jessica's sister. She feigned concern. This scarf was from you, right? Alex told me to throw it away, but I thought, it's the thought that counts, right? Would have been a shame to waste it. She explained. So I put it on our dog. You're not mad, are you? I smiled. It was made for a dog. After all, what does it matter which dog wears it? She froze for a second, then a flicker of contempt crossed her face. Still being snarky? Girls really shouldn't be so naive about love. So many years apart. And you're already labeling me? I patted her hand. Girls really shouldn't be so insecure. She abruptly pulled her hand back, her fake smile crumbling. Her friend stepped in and pulled us apart. Serafina had dedicated her entire brain to competing with other women, tearing down women, praising men, to feel validated, as if the only value a woman had was the kind of man she could marry. But she never considered Alex was the real danger. I turned and accidentally locked eyes with him. Alex, leaning on the second-floor railing, watching the drama unfold. His peach blossom eyes, half-lidded even when not smiling, always looked seductive, hard to ignore. The banquet buzzed below, a swirl of fame, vanity, and clinking glasses. He casually swirled his wine glass. From above, he looked down at me through the crowd. His lips moved, mouthing the words silently. Who are you calling a dog? And in that moment, I was transported back to the summer after college entrance exams. I'd brought that deep blue scarf I made and gone to the Law family's villa. Through the half-open door upstairs, I saw Alex with a girl, a very pretty girl, on her knees, clutching his pant leg, sobbing so hard she could barely breathe. He simply patted her head, said a few words, and she quieted instantly, then got up and obediently left the room, only to run straight into me. The look she gave me was exactly like Serafina's. Utter insecurity. Alex, still inside, swirled his wine lazily, just like now, enjoying the drama of two women competing for him. Later, I asked him, was she your girlfriend? He smiled. No. Then what was she? A pet. The kind of man who trains his woman into an obedient little pet. That's who Alex Law is. Born wicked. Chapter 4. I don't care about him. After the banquet, Victor was driving me home. I'm just honestly afraid of Alex. I explained. He tapped the steering wheel with the pad of his finger. It's like he has some kind of mind control. Every girl who gets close to him ends up unable to walk away, completely at his mercy. I added. And the worst part? They don't even realize it's happening. Victor didn't respond. He clearly didn't like hearing Alex's name from my mouth. Don't be mad. I'll stop making stupid jokes. All right? I tried to ease the tension. Still no response. In fact, he pulled the car over. You're not seriously going to dump me here, are you? I'm hopeless with directions. I looked around. Where even was this? No way he was that mad. Mild spicy or medium spicy? He asked. Dead serious. What? I stared at him, confused. Crawfish. He nodded toward a roadside stall. I looked closely. It was that place I'd been obsessed with a while ago. Extra spicy. Extra spicy. My mood instantly lifted. He said nothing more, just unbuckled his seatbelt and got out to order. In the crowd, dressed in a sharp suit, his tall, straight figure stood out. As he lowered his head to place the order, that usually cold face softened just a little. Back in the car after the banquet, I had mumbled something about being hungry. I didn't think he'd actually remember. Chapter 5. Why do you think the boss, with that impressive background, came to our branch office anyway? Before the morning meeting, a few coworkers were gossiping in the break room. Who knows? Maybe he pissed off someone upstairs and got demoted? Could he be here for our Caro? They burst into laughter. I made myself a cup of coffee and went back to my seat. Just as I sat down, I got a rare WeChat message from Carolina. Normally, when I message her about work or ask her to help with handovers, she acts like a queen, barely replies, if at all. So why was she texting me today? Just a heads up, something not so good is about to happen. That's it. What the hell does that mean? So vague. So cryptic. Playing games. Today's morning meeting was also attended by the branch's CEO, Carolina's uncle. Naturally, everyone in our department was a bit on edge. When the meeting started, people gave up the closer seats to avoid sitting near the leadership. But Carolina strutted right up, chin held high, and sat next to her uncle, then turned and called out to me, "Jessica, hurry up and get a cup of tea for President Song." She shot me a look like she was teaching some clueless junior how the world works, muttering, "So bad at reading the room." President Song sat there, frowning as he flipped through the documents our team had submitted. Impatient, he said, "Close the door. Everyone sit down." The meeting dragged on for 2 hours. The first part was a mess, everyone talking over each other. Miscommunications everywhere. But once we got to the proposal I had been leading, President Song suddenly asked, "What's their budget? How much are they willing to offer?" I gave him a number. He went then nodded, clearly pleased. "Good proposal." Just as I was about to speak, he asked again, "What else are you working on?" I mentioned another task, not nearly as important. Carolina quietly set her phone down and glanced sideways at President Song. He nodded again. "Then you focus on that one. As for the rest of this proposal, let Carolina take over. She's more familiar with that area." I'd already handled nearly the entire project. Now that it was time for recognition, they just casually slapped Carolina's name on it, blatantly stealing credit. But I've been leading this project from the start. "There's one more thing," President Song interrupted, completely ignoring me. "Carolina already has a lot on her plate. Starting this week, Jessica will write the weekly reports." Weekly reports, ugh. Time-consuming, thankless, and guaranteed to offend people. When cross-department collaboration is involved, I'll have to chase others for data. Usually means working overtime on weekends. No one notices this kind of work. It's basically glorified grunt labor. So she stole my project and shoved the most exhausting and unrewarding job onto me instead. Now I'd be the one working the hardest and getting the least. And she'd look the most accomplished while doing the least. Perfectly calculated. She followed up on her uncle's cue with a dazzling smile. "Jessica, if you need any help, I'm always happy to support you." She handed off the dirty work to me and played the sweet team player in front of everyone. And that cryptic text she sent before the meeting. "Just a heads up, something not so good is about to happen." Now I knew exactly what she meant. I looked at her bright, smug smile, fighting the urge to slap it off her face. But I held it in. I had a bigger move planned. I lifted my eyes to President Song, her shield, her backing. He looked right past me like I didn't exist, scratching his head while barking at other new hires. As the saying goes, to kill a snake, strike it 7 inches. I looked back at Carolina with a smile, even brighter than hers. Just wait. Chapter 6. She's the janitor's daughter? Here for an internship? In the afternoon, the janitor auntie's daughter Lisa, who graduated from a top university, was brought to the workstation next to mine. She greeted me with confidence. The small office group chat lit up instantly. "What does she look like? Any pics?" The male colleagues were already stirring. Carolina secretly took a photo, posted it in the group, and tagged one of the guys. "Your chance to become the janitor's charming son-in-law is here." The picture deliberately caught Lisa from an unflattering angle. The guy replied with a laughing emoji, "Not as pretty as Caro." "Give me a chance, Caro." Carolina playfully rolled her eyes at him. Others joined in. "There are tons of guys chasing Caro. You better get in line." Carolina replied with a cutesy emoji sticker. The guy continued, "The new girl's face isn't it? But her body's pretty nice. Born after 2000? Another guy gossiped. Her makeup's pretty heavy. Looks like the type who hangs out at clubs. The first guy chimed in, yeah, totally not my type. Carolina then posted screenshots of Lisa's WeChat moments in the group chat. One of them was a video of Lisa singing. She had a beautiful voice, sweet but not cloying. There was a hint of lazy charm to her tone. Her soft voice is actually really nice. Carolina pretended to appreciate the pretty newcomer, playing the part of a supportive sister, as if afraid others would say she couldn't stand another woman getting attention. The guy played along. She really knows how to act, knows exactly what guys like. Carolina, satisfied, put down her phone and walked toward Lisa. Finish this by this afternoon. She tossed over a thick stack of documents. It was the proposal she had stolen from me. All that was left were the tedious and complicated parts that needed polishing. Too lazy to do it herself, she dumped it on the intern. After all, if anything went wrong, the intern would take the blame. Done with the work yet? At the end of the day, Carolina, freshly touched up with makeup, walked over to Lisa. She sneakily threw a flirty glance at Christopher, who sat at the desk across from Lisa. Carolina had just posted on Instagram about her date tonight. Lisa was shutting down her laptop. Is this due today? Carolina frowned at her getting ready to leave posture. Yes, this was a task that would take 3 people a week to complete, and she expected one intern to finish it in a single afternoon. What? Carolina lifted her chin, playing the seasoned office veteran. Can't handle it? Nope, Lisa answered plainly. And this is someone who graduated from a top university? Carolina scoffed. Is it a lack of ability or attitude? It's an unreasonable task allocation. Lisa spoke honestly. It was clear who the problem was. Carolina was left speechless for a second, her pride bruised. She snapped back. If you know it can't be done, then you should take responsibility and stay to finish it, right? All right. Lisa split the stack in 2. Then I'll trouble you with this part. Carolina's face turned green with rage. Carolina looks like she's about to leave too, so I guess this isn't that urgent, Lisa said, slinging on her bag. Why don't we pick it up tomorrow? Chapter 7. The new girl? Useless. Doesn't do any work. Carolina was complaining in the group chat. Lisa had clearly finished everything carefully and handed it over quickly. Carolina took the work and ran off to claim credit in front of President Song, only to turn around and talk trash like this in the chat. If something's unreasonable, you should say no. I told Lisa, some people aren't even your supervisor. Doing work for others not only teaches you nothing but gets you no credit. Carolina tapped on Lisa's desk. Iced Americano. Also, go pick up my package. Carolina, I've got my own work to do. Lisa refused directly. What work? Work I assigned her. I looked up at Carolina. Is there a problem? Carolina went quiet and returned to her desk. Lisa leaned over and whispered, Thanks, Jessica. I'm taking you to the partner company this afternoon. Lisa was a quick learner, even though she was just an intern. She picked things up fast. I decided to bring her along to handle the project together. Then the receptionist messaged me. Carolina was gossiping again in the smaller chat group. No wonder the new girl is so clueless. Won't do a thing. Someone's clearly been a bad influence. She was being passive-aggressive again. One of the guys chimed in. She's not going to make it to full-time. Doesn't have the skills. Not doing their grunt work somehow meant she lacked ability. What a joke. I switched tabs and found Victor's profile picture. How's the audit going? Victor had been sent from HQ. Officially it was a demotion. But really, he was here to audit the subsidiary. 4 years. This branch had perfect-looking books, but they couldn't withstand scrutiny. Once they were examined, the issues led straight back to Carolina's backer, President Song. Not bad. Victor had always been modest. Even as a kid, not bad meant going extremely well. The net was almost ready to be cast for the big fish. Chapter 8. Carolina was all smiles, because Lisa's internship was over and she wasn't offered a full-time position. HR said it was President Song's decision. President Song also said women are always lazy and slippery. They never want to work overtime and always have excuses. He doesn't want to hire women anymore. The HR girl told me privately. All she ever did was mess with her phone. Still thought she'd be converted to full-time? Carolina was still trash-talking in the group chat. Her mom scrubbing toilets is more hardworking than her. Lisa had actually been on her phone communicating with clients, but in Carolina's version, it was playing on her phone. Carolina seemed to have 100 eyes. Like a walking surveillance camera. She barely did her own job. She spent all her energy picking on others. Almost 30. Yet still playing those middle school bullying games, isolating, slandering, making others feel unwelcome. On the day Lisa left, she said she wanted to buy me a milk tea. She didn't earn much, yet generously treated me to a fancy coffee she normally couldn't bear to buy for herself. I used to be scared to walk into places like this. She sat in the cafe, watching the people coming and going from the office towers. When I got into college, it was the first time I ever left my hometown. The first time I took the high-speed train alone. When I first came to the city, the skyscrapers made me feel small, but also excited. Blindly confident. I thought that with enough effort, I could one day settle down here. I didn't realize there are some gaps you can never really cross. Maybe I could spend my whole life working my ass off, and still only reach the starting point of someone like Carolina. She talked for a long time, and finally said to me, "Jessica, thank you. I know it was you who spoke to management on behalf of my mom to get me this internship." "How did you know?" The receptionist told me. She smiled. She also gave me Carolina's Instagram ID. I didn't say much more. Instead, I asked, "When are you graduating?" "Soon. Just waiting to defend my thesis." "Would you be interested in coming to HQ?" I asked her. She looked at me, completely stunned. Chapter 9. The day after Lisa left the company, she posted a new status on WeChat around noon. That morning, Carolina, usually all dolled up, got absolutely chewed out by her backer. President's song. It was because she had stolen my project but messed up at the final stage, which led the client to back out. It cost the company tens of millions, and that deal was supposed to patch a glaring hole in the accounts the one President's song was desperately trying to cover up. Now the money slipped through his fingers, and the books couldn't be balanced. Basically, she dug a hole for her own team. He was so furious he nearly ripped off his toupee. Carolina came back to the office with red eyes. The office was dead silent. No one dared to go near that bad energy. One of the male coworkers secretly ordered her a milk tea. It got delivered, but she was nowhere to be seen. The front desk girl whispered to me that Carolina was making out with Christopher in the stairwell. I swear, he was just trying to comfort her at first. Over lunch, the receptionist smirked, but that comforting turned into something else real quick. They were straight up doing it in the "I'm eating." I cut her off with a glare. She playfully shoved me and added, "I don't get these guys at the office. They simp so hard for her and don't even realize they're just backups." Last time she even had one of them ghostwrite her proposal. She treats them like dogs. As she spoke, I scrolled and saw Lisa's new WeChat post. She'd posted a screenshot. It was from Carolina's Instagram, an intimate selfie of her and Christopher. Carolina had captioned it, "There's always some girl in the company trying to add him on WeChat, so I can't post this publicly. I'm scared they'll all be so jealous." Lisa had reposted it with a line, wishing this lovely couple the best. "Hope you two are locked in for life." Holy crap, the receptionist gasped. Lisa just nuked all of Carolina's simps. No sooner had she said it than replies started popping up on Lisa's post. One of the guys, "You crazy? Spreading lies now?" Then another guy followed up, "Dude, I searched her Instagram. It's real. Didn't she always tease Jessica and Christopher about being a thing?" After that, no one replied to Lisa's post again. The silence was deafening, but all the little group chats inside the company exploded. Jealous? Of her? I'm screaming. She's been deleting posts nonstop. Wouldn't be surprised if she nukes her account. Send me 50 yen and I'll forward the latest screenshot. The front desk girl couldn't hold back her gossip energy anymore. She called Lisa directly. "What happened?" "That was a nuclear bomb." "Girl!" Carolina messaged me on WeChat. Lisa said. "What did she say?" "She told me to take it down. Asked if I'd blocked any execs from seeing it." "Did you delete it?" "Do you think I would?" Lisa chuckled. "So what did you reply?" "I left her on read." Lisa said. "Isn't that exactly what she used to do to me?" Chapter 10. After lunch, I returned to the office. Inside, a group of people were gathered around Carolina. She was crying like a tragic heroine from a soap opera, and a female colleague beside her comforted her, saying, She's just jealous of your privileged background. The moment they saw me walk in, everyone went quiet, their eyes locked onto me like spotlights. One of the women gently nudged the intern next to her. The intern hesitantly walked over to me. Jessica. Yes? Caro's crying. She said timidly. And? What does that have to do with me? The intern awkwardly took a few steps back, muttering under her breath. That's pretty cold. This isn't her living room. It's a workplace. What? Am I supposed to cry with her or something? From within the group, Carolina called out to me. Jessica, you and Lisa are pretty close, right? I ignored her, which only seemed to fuel her smugness. Got rejected by Christopher a few times and now you're so bitter you're stalking my Instagram? Even went so far as to use an intern to leak my private info. Are you okay? Are you love deprived because of your age? Or just too ugly for anyone to chase after you? You're so desperate to feel relevant. You're pulling some palace drama *T on me? If I really wanted you gone, do you think you'd still be here with your kind of background? After unloading that barrage, she burst into tears again. I didn't expect my kindness to be used as a weapon to hurt me. Didn't your mom teach you not to cross the line? Don't cry, Carolina, one of the girls said, trying to soothe her. She and Lisa are cut from the same cheap cloth. The two of them could work their whole lives and still not afford one of your family's houses. They're just jealous. Her sobs grew louder, catching the attention of others around us. The whole act was clearly designed to cause a scene, to drown me in a sea of judgmental stares. Ideally, I'd be so humiliated I'd just quit on the spot. It wasn't the first time she pulled this kind of stunt. I stood up and slowly walked over to her. She flinched a little but still lifted her chin to face me. The woman next to her instinctively stepped back. I suddenly raised my hand. Carolina recoiled instinctively, lifting her arms to shield her face. But I simply grabbed a tissue from the desk beside her and shoved it into her hand. You're an adult. Try acting like one. Keep your emotions in check. She got worked up. What's that supposed to mean? Who are you calling emotionally unstable? Whoever takes offense first is usually who it applies to. I replied calmly, my tone icy. Just because you're pissed doesn't mean you get to bite everyone around you. You. Her face twisted with rage. She shot up from her chair. You better watch out. If you're not out of here by the end of the day. I'm not Carolina. Relax, Carolina. Getting mad's only gonna hurt yourself. Totally not worth it. Seeing things escalating, one of her cronies tried to mediate, winking at me as she spoke. If you don't want to lose your job, just apologize already. Do you think you can afford to cross Caro? I didn't do it. Why would I apologize? Seeing I wasn't backing down, Carolina shot me a vicious glare and stormed toward the elevator. She's off to find President Song. Someone whispered. Jessica's getting kicked out any minute now. She didn't even do anything, though. Welcome to this messed up company. It's all about who you know, if you've got connections. You run the show. People around us began murmuring, led by that same bootlicker colleague. A few of Carolina's usual sycophants crossed their legs and leaned back, waiting gleefully for my downfall. Not long after, there was movement by the elevator. Some people, that woman said casually, stirring her coffee with a smirk, really should take the hint and leave on their own. Getting dragged out by security? That's just embarrassing. The group around her broke into laughter. Seeing I didn't react, she walked right up and started messing with my things. We're co-workers. After all, just helping you pack. Don't touch my stuff. I swatted her hand away. She let out an angry, mocking laugh, her tone dripping with sarcasm. Still got a sharp tongue. Huh? Pack up quick. The security's on their way up. Before she could even finish her sentence, a few people came rushing out of the elevator in a panic. He got caught. He got caught. Who got caught? President Song. He's been arrested. The office instantly descended into chaos. Carolina walked right into it, ran into the police, and got taken in for questioning. That arrogant colleague's face turned pale with fear. Look, there really are police cars downstairs. Everyone in the office rushed to the floor-to-ceiling windows, chattering like birds as they watched the drama unfold. That same colleague froze for a few seconds. Then, with trembling hands, suddenly lunged toward her computer, frantically trying to delete files. In her panic, she knocked over her coffee, spilling it all over the keyboard. "Oh no, are you okay?" The intern kindly tried to hand her some tissues. The woman slammed her hand down on the keyboard and snapped, "Get the hell away from me." Then she started muttering to herself in panic. **T. Hurry up. Why won't it delete? Don't move." 2 police officers walked into the office and, with swift efficiency, took the woman into custody. They confiscated her phone, laptop, and all the files related to the case for investigation. Amid the confusion, I turned my head and saw Victor leaning casually against the doorway. His dark eyes were sharp and commanding, exuding a cold intensity, but when he looked at me, there was a subtle smile in his gaze. It was done. A silent understanding passed between us. Chapter 11. President Song embezzled 10 million yuan from the company's disaster relief funds to buy stocks for himself. When the stock price plummeted, he couldn't pay the money back. He later exploited his position multiple times to misappropriate both company and client funds. The total amount was enormous and the case particularly serious. He's been sentenced to over 10 years in prison. It was drizzling outside, and the news played on the TV. "I want hot pot," I said, looking up at Victor sitting on the sofa. He adjusted his glasses on the bridge of his nose. "The floor's cold. Sit on the sofa. Will this affect the group's stock price?" I moved over to the sofa and leaned closer to the laptop in his hands. "PR's already on it. The impact is minimal." He turned his face slightly, and his jaw accidentally brushed against my hair. His Adam's apple bobbed. He gave my head a gentle push away and got up to go to the kitchen. I grabbed his laptop. "Where are you going?" "To make hot pot." I held onto his laptop and scrolled through the news. Carolina and those other colleagues were accomplices, but the amounts they took weren't as large. Some got 3-year sentences, others 5. They used disaster relief funds to buy luxury handbags. Karma really is a thing. You sure gathered the evidence fast, I said, giving Victor a bit of credit. When my dad asked me to investigate the subsidiary's finances, he told me, "That law family boy offered to help you the moment he heard. Said he'd go down to the branch office with you." "Why though?" I asked my dad. "The law family's empire is huge. He's already got more than enough on his plate. Why tag along with me?" My dad took a sip of tea and chuckled. "Why do you think?" "Figure it out. My grandfather and the law family's grandfather were war buddies. Our families had been planning a marriage alliance since my dad's generation. But the timing didn't work out. My aunt was already married, and Alex had just been born. So when I was born, the law family's grandpa grabbed my little hand and told Alex, 'This one's going to be your girl someday. Better behave yourself.' Both families tacitly agreed that Alex and I would end up together. I believed it too. So much so that when I was younger, I couldn't help but catch feelings every time I looked at his face, completely blind to the fact that underneath that charm was a total jerk. Alex really took the not behaving part seriously. Women came and went like revolving doors. His grandfather eventually had enough and shipped him overseas. Out of sight, out of mind. Now he's been called back home. He's had his fun. Time to settle down. Alex's mom said to me. The implication was clear. We were at the right age, and it was time to put the marriage alliance back on the table. "Victor," I called from the kitchen doorway. "Why did you come help me?" He handed me a bowl of coconut chicken soup. "You really don't know?" I took it and sipped. "Warm, delicious. How would I know if you don't say it?" As I went in for another sip, Victor pretended to take the bowl away. "If you don't know, then don't drink my soup." His words were sharp, but his tone was soft, and the movement of his hand, just a playful fake out. Like teasing a child. "You're not secretly plotting with Serafina to steal my family fortune, are you?" I clutched the coconut chicken soup tightly, refusing to let go. He let out a short laugh, clearly amused. "Serafina? Who's that?" "Oh, right, the one you gave your scarf to, only for her to end up using it on her dog." He folded his arms, looking at me with that cocky smirk written all over his face. "Your crush's current girlfriend, right?" He emphasized crush like he was twisting the word. Ugh. Shut up. He's not my crush. Could have fooled me. I finished the bowl of soup and handed it to him. "I want more." "No. I want more." "Nope. I like you." At those words, his long lashes trembled slightly before he swiftly turned off the stove. Outside, misty rain blurred the view, wrapping the half-mountain city in a soft, dusky glow. I glanced up at him, eyeing the ladle quietly. I reached out, trying to help myself to more soup, but he caught me by the wrist, trapping it gently in his grip. I said I like you already. I said softly, why still no soup? He took my bowl and set it firmly down on the counter. Then Victor leaned down and carefully wiped a bit of soup from my hand. His fingers brushed my palm, lingering even after the soup stain was long gone, his touch slow and deliberate, gliding over the same spot with unspoken tenderness. I lowered my gaze, following his hand with my eyes. The kitchen window was cracked open. A chill crept in, teasing the back of my neck, but it couldn't dispel the warmth simmering inside this room. It tickles, I whispered. His breath moved closer, brushing lightly over my eyelids. Tender, lingering. Then, all at once, it deepened, his touch turning forceful and intense, like endless spring rain, soft at first, then unstoppable, slipping through every gap, overwhelming every defense. His voice had always been too gentle with me, so much so I'd forgotten the sharp angles of his face, the cold decisiveness in his gaze. He wasn't someone you could tease lightly without consequence. That night, in the spring rain, all the little games I'd ever dared to play with him, he collected them one by one, and paid me back in full. Still want more soup? I don't have the strength. He let out a low laugh and closed the kitchen window. Chapter 12. The day my grandfather called me back to the old house. Victor drove his usual, modest car. No Lamborghini today? I teased him deliberately as I got into the passenger seat and fastened my seatbelt. Nope. He turned the steering wheel. No need for that anymore. The last time Alex came back to China for his welcome back banquet, Victor had gone all out, suited up and driving that flashy car just to hold his own. But now, Alex was attending again, and Victor simply said it wasn't necessary. Red light. The car came to a stop. Victor casually rubbed his neck. It's kinda cold. Huh? It's warmer today though. He didn't reply and just started driving again. Hey, can you swing by the mall on the way? I want to grab something from a luxury counter to gift someone. I said, okay. He pressed the button to lower the window. Early spring still carried a lingering chill, and a gust of wind rushed in. Why are you opening the window? I complained. It's freezing. It is freezing. Then why open it? He closed it with a slightly pitiful expression. My neck was cold. I raised an eyebrow at him, and the more I looked, the more I couldn't help but laugh. Well then, I guess scarf knitting season is officially here. He didn't reply, but the corners of his eyes couldn't hide the smile trying to break free. When we arrived at the plaza, I got out on the side of the road. Pick me up in an hour. It won't be quick. He nodded. I waved him goodbye, slung my bag over my shoulder, crossed the street, and walked toward the mall entrance. As I stood at the entrance scanning the QR code, I instinctively looked back. His car was still parked there, waiting, watching, making sure I got inside safely. A new luxury boutique had just opened in the mall. What do you mean? Try again. Ma'am, I've swiped it multiple times. This card just isn't working. Right as I stepped into the store, I saw Serafina arguing with the cashier. Maybe try a different card? He suggested. This is my boyfriend's black card. No limit. How could it not work? I've shopped here tons of times. What's your problem? What's your problem? The cashier shot back. You tried on clothes for 3 hours, bragged about your rich boyfriend for the 800th time. And now that it's time to pay, the cards declined. Not my fault. That voice sounded familiar. I leaned in for a closer look, and sure enough, it was Christopher, Carolina's secret little boyfriend. What kind of attitude is that? What's your deal? I'm reporting you. The commotion had grown enough that a manager came out to calm things down. Christopher looked up and spotted me. His expression froze. Serafina followed his gaze and turned to look too. Her expression mirrored his, caught, awkward, and vaguely defiant but clearly unsure of herself. She brushed her hair behind her ear and attempted to explain. This store is ridiculous. The card obviously works, but they're insisting it doesn't. It's frozen. That's why it's not working. Christopher rolled his eyes. Alex wouldn't cut me off. Don't talk nonsense. Serafina snapped. He probably didn't. Christopher said coolly. But just because he has money doesn't mean you always get to spend it. Who knows? Maybe that money's already gone to someone younger and prettier than you. She clutched the hem of her white dress tightly, lips pressed together. Still buying or not? Christopher asked her. If you can't afford it, don't force it. Who says I can't afford it? Serafina glanced at me as she spoke. Then she walked over, clinging to my arm like we were close. Good thing I ran into you. Sis, you've got enough in your card, right? I glanced at the bag on the counter. It was worth at least 300,000 yuan. Don't tell me even you don't have that kind of money, she said, trying to provoke me. Nope, and even if I did, I wouldn't give it to you. If you think there's an issue with the card, why don't you call Alex and ask? I pulled my arm free. Or, is he not taking your calls anymore? Bullseye. Her expression dropped. Of course not. He's on a flight. He can't answer. I pulled out my phone and dialed Alex. He picked up immediately. So you finally decided to call me? He teased, tone flirtatious and easy. The contrast hit Serafina like a truck. Her tears fell instantly. She snatched the phone from me and started sobbing into it, voice trembling and dramatic. In the end, Alex wired her the money. She walked away with that 300,000 yuan bag. Beaming, she turned to Christopher and sneered. Just wait, I'm reporting you the minute I get back. She passed by me without even a glance, acting all high and mighty. Christopher smirked at me. That bag wasn't what she bought. She was the bag. Cheap. Really? What are you doing working here? I asked. Gotta make a living, he replied, pulling on a pair of white gloves. Can't all be like you, Miss Heiress. Just go home and inherit the family fortune. So, you know? I figured it out later. You were investigating Carolina from the start, tracking her cash flow. That time she stole your project? You set her up, didn't you? I smiled without answering. Honestly, just hearing her name now puts me in a bad mood. He laughed too. I thought you were a joke. Turns out, I was the real joke. He recommended a few bags to me, wearing a practiced, polite smile. I ended up buying one he suggested. About 500,000. Sorry for the way I treated you back then. I believed her, he said as he rang it up, voice surprisingly sincere. Come back often. Yeah, if we get anything good in, I'll save it for you. Wrap it up for me. It's a gift for an elder. He politely packed the gift and couldn't help asking. A gift for an elder? Who are you trying to please? It was for Alex's mother, but it wasn't about pleasing anyone. It was to make certain conversations easier. You should have let Carolina know from the start, Christopher said as he handed me the gift bag. You're the daughter of the company's board chair. Let's see if she would have dared act so cocky then. You should have slapped her twice and crushed her with your wallet. She walks around with her nose in the air, acting like her little bit of money makes her better than everyone else. I stayed silent, because if I had done that, how would I be any different from her? Just one privileged person crushing another with even more privilege. To be honest, if I were her, I'd be arrogant too. That's just how people are. Without comparison, where does superiority come from? Christopher said with mock philosophical flair. Everyone hates privilege until they have it. It wasn't surprising that he saw things that way. Christopher and Carolina were the same type of person. Social climbers, gold diggers, status-driven. They treated money as the ultimate measure of worth, believing the entire world operated the same way. Fight, scramble, step on whoever you must to get ahead. And once they got ahead, they'd stomp on everyone beneath them to keep their place. But those who belittle and judge others so freely will eventually find themselves judged and belittled too. Carolina's downfall didn't come because she offended the daughter of the board chair. It came because she deserved it. Because the law exists. Take care, Miss, Christopher said as he walked me to the entrance of the shopping mall. The way he called me Miss now, same tone, same smile, was just like when he used to stand next to Carolina. Back then, he did it to get the attention of a company executive's niece. Now, it was for a 500,000 yuan bag. Chapter 13. Oh, you didn't have to bring a gift. Alex's mom took the bag, her smile stretching all the way to the wrinkles at the corners of her eyes. I've been waiting forever for you to join our family. Men, you know, she added warmly, patting my hand. A little fooling around outside is nothing. It's like going on vacation. Of course you have to stay in a hotel, right? As long as they come home in the end. It's fine. I smiled back and said, Auntie, I'm getting married. Huh? She didn't register it right away. Alex agreed. I'm marrying Victor. His uncle shouldn't have any objections, right? I gently patted her hand. After all, Alex seems to be enjoying his vacations quite a lot. Her face stiffened. She turned toward the door. Alex had just stepped inside and froze at the threshold. His expression darkened instantly. What's that supposed to mean? My daughter's getting married, my dad said as he walked out from behind him. You have a problem with that? Alex was caught in the middle, stuck, tongue-tied, unsure whether to go forward or back. My father walked right past him and entered the house, heading straight toward Victor's grandfather. Your grandson's a capable young man, he said. Told me a while ago he liked my daughter and volunteered to go help her at the branch office. Didn't expect he'd make such a big move. Everything's been handled beautifully. Victor's grandfather glanced back and forth between the two of us. For him, it didn't matter which grandson I chose. They were both family. All he wanted was a marriage alliance with ours. If he could change his gender, he probably would have proposed to my grandfather himself. The old man had seen it all in his life. Nothing could surprise him anymore. Looking at Alex, with all his playboy energy, he probably figured he wasn't good enough for a girl like me. Victor, on the other hand, reliable, grounded, and steady. So he beamed, grabbed my dad's hand, and said, That's wonderful news. Everyone gathered around the table for dinner. What did you just tell my dad? I leaned closer to Victor and asked in a whisper. We had a deal, he said while peeling shrimp for me. What deal? How come I never heard about it? When I asked him to assign me to the branch, I said, if I help you finish the audit smoothly, I want his support for us being together. But we weren't even together back then. He didn't answer, just kept peeling shrimp, piling them into my bowl until it was full. So you've been plotting to marry me since then? Huh? He was about to respond, but Victor's grandmother chimed in with a smile. Well, I've lived a long time, and not once has my grandson peeled that many shrimp for me. Everyone turned and started teasing us. Blushing, I passed the bowl to Victor's grandmother, but my eyes accidentally met Alex's. From a shadowy corner of the room, his stare was sharp, cold. Later, during a quick trip to the bathroom, he cornered me at the stairwell landing, really going all out. Huh? His tone was unpleasant. Of all people, you had to go after my nephew? You done with Serafina? His face twisted with embarrassment. He looked away. Yeah, already moved on to someone new? He didn't deny it. Then why the drama? Why act like you give a damn? I yanked my arm free. She was just a fling. I never cared. He looked at me. Didn't I make that clear from the start? If you're not ashamed, I sure as hell am. You need to learn how to enjoy the game. Alex said bitterly. At our level, love is a luxury. Most of us can't afford it. He gave a half laugh. Serafina was bawling her eyes out this afternoon. You think she really loved me? Before I could say anything, he continued. She never loved me. What she loved was the vanity that came with being with me. She said she loved me, but what she really loved was the feeling of being above everyone else. He looked at me with a twisted smile. Isn't it fun, though, keeping a little pet like that? Raising her until she has no sense of her own worth. Letting her live in some fantasy world, like a glass house, enjoying a lifestyle far beyond her station. And then, just when she's used to it, dropping her, watching her lose it all and knowing she'll never get it back. Isn't that amusing? I let out a cold laugh. And how are you any different from her? What's that supposed to mean? You mock Serafina for chasing status and superiority, but aren't you doing the same? I stared into his eyes. You use your identity to play God with the people around you, manipulating anyone who gets close. Just for the thrill of it. His face darkened. And you're not? You and I, we're the same kind of people. You're just another privileged player in this game. The only difference is, you're better at wrapping it up in morality and pretending it's virtue. I'm not like you. I lifted my chin. I may have been born into this world of status and wealth, but I don't live for it. At least I can still love, with sincerity and passion, every person who's truly worth loving. Chapter 14. When I left the old house, A group of second-generation rich kids were waiting out front in their sports cars for Alex. One of them, who recognized me, whistled in my direction. A girl in her early 20s popped out of one of the cars, dolled up, sexy, full of attitude. She gave me a once-over, eyes full of suspicion, the exact same look Serafina gave me the first time we met. She shouted toward the second-floor balcony of the villa. "Ale, we've been waiting forever. Let's go already." I turned around and saw Alex leaning lazily against the railing. In the soft, fading light, his expression was hard to read. Palm trees swayed, their shadows dancing across the balcony in the spring breeze. I turned back without the slightest regret and looked toward the car pulling up from the underground garage. That very ordinary car. Victor's car. He parked steadily beside me, his eyes gentle and calm. The guys in their sports cars eyed his vehicle and him with thinly veiled judgment. The girl scoffed when she saw me get in. She muttered under her breath, "What a junky little car." Once the door closed, the heater inside wrapped me in warmth. As the car pulled away, the people, the old house, and the tree-shadowed lights slowly blurred into the distance, drifting further and further behind me. Victor's right hand held my left, his fingertips softly tracing circles in my palm. I was hungry. There had been so much going on today. I hadn't really eaten. I looked up at Victor. He raised an eyebrow, sensing it immediately. "Hungry? I want something insanely spicy." He smiled. I remember. He always remembers. The car headed toward the night market in the city. It was buzzing with diners, glowing with warm lights, the simple joy of everyday life, the warmth of the real world. Story 2. Chapter 1. I cut my long hair of 3 years into a shoulder-length style. The moment Leo saw me, his face darkened. "Didn't I tell you short hair doesn't suit you? Why don't you ever listen to me?" He shoved his hands into his pockets and shot me a sideways glance. "Do you even realize how ugly you look like this?" Leo didn't bother hiding his disdain for my short hair. Anger bubbled up inside me, and I stormed off along the lakeside, retorting, "Everyone else says it looks great, only you think it's ugly. Why do you always enjoy putting me down? Do you find that fun?" Honestly, it wasn't a big deal, not worth wasting my energy to argue about. But the way Leo looked at me today, it hurt. His gaze felt unfamiliar, cold. Leo froze for a moment, clearly not expecting me to tear up at his words. "You're so sensitive." I was just joking. He always loved joking. In our first year of college, he publicly said my makeup looked outdated, like something from the countryside. I was furious and smashed a plate, but he pointed at me and turned to laugh with others. "See? I told you she overreacts." So petty. In our 3rd year, he took me to dinner with his parents. At the table, Leo casually slapped the knife and fork out of my hands. "Knife in your right hand, fork in your left. Don't you even know such basic table manners? You're embarrassing." The utensils clattered to the floor, leaving a small but noticeable scratch on my leg. The wound wasn't particularly painful, but it made me gasp in surprise. In the end, Leo's parents merely gave him a half-hearted scolding. "Lisa, don't take Leo's words to heart. He's always like this. You two will have to live together in the future, so you'll need to get used to his temper." Leo, meanwhile, sat there motionless, as calm as ever. He simply said, "Lisa, I was just joking. Don't get mad." He always hurt people under the guise of joking, then blamed them for being too sensitive. But today, I decided to be the petty person he always accused me of being, the kind who couldn't take a joke. I took 2 steps back and said coldly, "Leo, do you even know that I'm left-handed?" Chapter 2. Leo looked at me, confused. "Why are you bringing that up now? Are you trying to show off that you're left-handed and smarter than the average person?" Hearing his response, I couldn't help but fall into a deep pit of self-doubt. How could 2 people who didn't even share the same wavelength manage to stay together for 3 years? In these 3 years, I had known Leo's flaws all too well, yet I chose to forgive him time and time again. If I stopped tolerating his behavior, would it mean this relationship had finally run its course? I raised my voice a bit, cutting him off. "I'm only comfortable holding a knife in my left hand and a fork in my right. I don't care about so-called table manners." Leo's expression showed sudden realization, but he still raised his eyebrows dismissively. I was just joking back then, and you're still holding a grudge? Lisa, do you really need to be so petty? It wasn't about holding a grudge, and it wasn't about being petty. I just wondered, did Leo always see me as inferior to him? He was the one who pursued me back then, but now he was the one belittling me. Why should I listen to you, Leo? I turned to leave, but his large hand clamped around my arm, the grip almost painful. Perhaps Leo hadn't expected me to fight back. There was a hint of irritation in his voice. Lisa, you're with me. So what more could you possibly want? Are you just being difficult for the sake of it? If you don't behave, I'll just find some other girl from that dorm to date. He said this, suddenly pointing to a nearby building, the girls' dorm. Dorm 17 was where all the second-year girls lived. Both Leo and I were in our fourth year, and we hardly knew anyone in the second-year group. I pulled my arm free, feeling exhausted. Leo was like a child. Every argument ended with empty threats, trying to intimidate people. I had once thought I could keep tolerating it, but now I suddenly found myself tired of his childish behavior. I let out a sigh. Leo, you have no right to judge my interests or habits, whether we're dating or married. I'm Lisa. I'm not an accessory to you. If you like long hair so much, go buy yourself a doll and comb its hair every day. Just don't come demanding that from me. I hadn't even finished speaking when Leo, like a cat whose fur had been ruffled, flew into a rage. He cursed under his breath and suddenly shoved me. Lisa, what the hell is wrong with you? Chapter 3. We were standing by the lake, and the path was full of uneven cobblestones. I stepped on one of the stones, losing my balance, and fell hard toward the ground. In that split second as I fell, I saw a flash of panic in Leo's eyes. He raised his hand, as if to help, but ultimately chose not to, letting me fall right before his eyes. I hit the ground heavily, feeling as though my internal organs were about to be crushed by the raised stones beneath me. Some sharp rock tore into the palm of my hand, sending a sharp, stinging pain through me. I looked down at my sandy, bloodied hand and, to my surprise, felt my anger vanish. It was only then that Leo realized the seriousness of the situation. He reached out to help me up. I pushed his hand away and struggled to stand on my own, looking as disheveled as I felt. I don't need your help. Get lost. Leo opened his mouth, his brows furrowing. Lisa, I didn't realize I pushed you that hard. I shot him a disappointed glance before turning and heading toward the dormitory building. Leo didn't follow. He just stood there, staring blankly at the spot where I'd fallen. And so, Leo and I entered a cold war. At first, he seemed guilty for pushing me and injuring me, sending me messages every so often. He even ordered medicine through delivery apps, reminding me to disinfect and care for my wounds. I looked at the messages popping up on my screen and felt an inexplicable frustration. I put down the iodine solution, clicked on Leo's profile picture, and set his messages to do not disturb. The phone, which had been constantly buzzing with notifications, finally fell silent. In the following days, Leo didn't contact me again. The last message he sent was an impatient complaint. Lisa, I've let you sulk for a few days, but I'm warning you, don't push it too far. I tossed the phone aside, trying my best to forget about Leo. With graduation approaching, I was busy with my internship, and soon enough, Leo was out of my mind. Even my coworker couldn't help but remark, never thought I'd see the day when Lisa wasn't all about her boyfriend. It's a miracle. I turned to her, confused. Have I ever been all about my boyfriend? My coworker sighed, almost exasperated. Everyone else has their boyfriend picking them up from work. But not you. You were the one picking your boyfriend up from work. If that's not being love-obsessed, I don't know what is. I couldn't even manage a forced smile. My face turned awkwardly stiff. Because she was right. Leo used to say that his internship was far, and he didn't want to take the subway. So, he had me take a cab to pick him up after work every day. Sometimes he was so busy that even the cab drivers complained about not wanting to wait any longer. I would end up standing alone in the cold wind, waiting for Leo to stroll out of his office building at his leisure. Thinking back, I could only shake my head helplessly. I guess I was blinded by stupidity before. but it won't happen again. Chapter 4. Leo and I had been in a cold war for a week. His social media accounts were updated daily as usual, with pictures of him playing basketball, going to work, coming back, and dining with friends. One night, as I lay in bed scrolling on my phone, I stumbled upon a recent post of his. The picture was of the cityscape at night, taken from a taxi on his way home. I zoomed in on the image, and in the reflection of the car window, I saw a shadow in the back seat. It wasn't just Leo, there was someone else with him. I knew Leo well. He had always been accustomed to luxury and wouldn't share a ride with someone else. So who was the person sitting next to him now? I stared blankly, swiping my finger on the screen, checking the comments section. Leo didn't have many followers on this account, and not many people commented on his posts. He knew very well that I hardly ever paid attention to his social media. That's why he always posted casually, without any concern for what he said. One particular comment instantly caught my attention, commemorating the night view we saw together, and Leo had replied to her with an affectionate emoji. My heart sank, my hands moved on their own, and I tapped into that person's profile, a girl, located in this city. She updated her posts frequently. Almost all of them were snapshots of her daily life. It was easy to tell she was from the same school as us. My heartstrings were still taut. Leo and she weren't following each other, but upon a closer look, I realized that even though they weren't mutual followers, they had been interacting for over a year, and I had never noticed. The girl had commented on nearly all of Leo's recent posts. Brother Leo, will we go home together during the holidays? My luggage is too heavy. My parents want me to bring you home for dinner. For every comment she posted, Leo responded. Sometimes it was just an emoji, sometimes a word or two. The rare glimpses of affection and gentleness from Leo were all directed at this girl named Alice. Chapter 5. It felt like I had stumbled upon a major secret. Just then, a call from Leo suddenly popped up on my screen. My heart skipped a beat, and I forgot what I was supposed to do next. The phone vibrated for a long time until my roommate noticed something was wrong. She nudged me, snapping me out of my daze. With trembling fingers, I hung up the call and shoved my phone under my pillow. What exactly was the relationship between Leo and that girl? After a while, my heart rate slowly returned to normal, but I couldn't shake the doubt. I pulled out my phone once again. Sometimes, I truly hated my own indecision and weakness. I tapped on the girl's account again and carefully examined every one of her posts. One of her posts from a year ago had an exact location tag. It read, Girls Dormitory Building 17. Staring at those glaring numbers, it felt like a knife twisted in my heart, leaving me breathless from the pain. Wasn't that the same building Leo had pointed to in anger during our argument? I had always thought that it was just an empty threat, something Leo blurted out without thinking, but I never imagined that, in a moment of frustration, he would actually reveal his true thoughts. Leo's words felt like a boomerang, and now they had struck me straight in the heart. As I stood there in a daze, Leo's call came through again. I took a deep breath and answered. He was probably just calling to go through the motions of apologizing, ready to use it for emotional leverage later. He hadn't expected me to pick up. Leo's tone was clearly uneasy. Lisa, you're finally answering my call? Chapter 6. I didn't say anything, waiting to hear what nonsense he would come up with. He cleared his throat twice and then carefully spoke. Lisa, why don't we meet up? Winter break is coming, and if we don't see each other now, we won't meet for over a month. Leo deliberately lowered his voice, as if afraid someone might overhear him. It was better when he didn't mention going home for the holidays. Now that he had, my mind was instantly pulled back to the comment section of that post. Brother Leo, will we go home together during the holidays? My luggage is too heavy. Just thinking about that made my stomach turn in disgust. I tried to keep my emotions in check, speaking calmly. Leo, I don't want to see you anymore. Let's break up. Before Leo could respond, I hung up immediately. Then I blocked and deleted him, erasing him from my world completely. I thought about blocking that girl's account too, but as I clicked on her profile, I saw that she had posted again just a few minutes ago. The picture was taken under the orange glow of the lights outside dormitory 17, showing two shadows standing side by side. The caption read, The perk of having a big brother, he helps me carry my luggage. So, when Leo called me earlier, he was waiting for her outside the girls' dorm? No wonder he sounded so flustered and caught off guard. A self-mocking laugh escaped my lips, but tears rolled down like broken pearls. Maybe this was for the best, it would finally allow me to give up completely. With the Lunar New Year approaching, I finished my internship and returned home. I hadn't even set my luggage down when I received a private message from an unknown sender. Do you know who I am? You've been watching me for quite some time now, haven't you? It was from Alice. The moment I saw the message, I felt like a child caught red-handed after doing something wrong. I instinctively wanted to explain myself, but then I realized I wasn't the one in the wrong, she was. I didn't respond and turned off my phone. No sooner had I placed the phone on the table than another message came in. Brother Leo said he was just fooling around with you. You're too far apart, and once you graduate, you'll each go your own way. But I'm different. Brother Leo and I grew up together. Our parents arranged for us to be married when we were kids. He didn't tell you, did he? He personally helped me choose my university. He said he didn't want to be apart from me and wanted to always take care of me. Every word from Alice's message pierced my eyes painfully. In the 3 years we were together, Leo had never once mentioned Alice to me. Did he really think of her as just his childhood friend, making it unnecessary to mention her? Or had he deliberately hidden her from me? The emotions I had kept calm for several days were stirred up again by her words, but I still tried to reply politely. Leo has a girlfriend. Do you really think your behavior was appropriate? There's an order to everything. If you had feelings for Leo, you should have waited until we broke up. Understand? Well, now we're broken up. Congratulations. You can step up. As I typed every word, I could clearly feel my heart pounding rapidly. The other side went quiet for a long time, so long that I thought she wouldn't respond. But a few minutes later, she called me directly. Without thinking, I answered the call. I had been holding in my emotions for so many days, and I needed an outlet, some way to let it all out. But to my surprise, it was Leo's voice that came from the other end of the line. Lisa, Alice is like a sister to me. Was it really necessary to be so harsh to her? I'm giving you 1 minute. Apologize to Alice. Chapter 7. The words I had prepared suddenly got stuck in my throat. Leo's words were like a bucket of cold water poured over my head. I sobered up immediately, realizing how emotional I had been just moments ago. The root of all this was Leo. So why should I bother with another girl? I cleared my throat. Sorry. I forgot, we already broke up. Congratulations. By the way, no time wasted. And you're already in a new relationship. Leo was silent for a few seconds before sighing helplessly. Lisa, stop this. She's just a neighbor. Like a sister to me. Why did you have to confront her and say those hurtful things? From the way he spoke, it seemed like everything was my fault. But was I really the one who initiated things with Alice? I had never wanted to assume the worst of another girl. Even when I realized she had a close relationship with Leo, I had no intention of disturbing her. But in Leo's eyes, I had become the one with malicious intent. My voice returned to a calm tone. Leo, do you know what a childhood sweetheart is? There isn't just one person in this world with a childhood sweetheart. If you've always had her in your heart, why did you come to me in the first place? I wasn't the one who pursued you back then. Leo! After that tirade, Leo was left speechless, and I felt a significant sense of relief. Just then, there was a sudden knock at the door. Leo was still trying to say something, but I cut him off. You don't need to say anything else. Let's leave it at that and never see each other again. And one more thing, it wasn't me who started this. Why don't you ask her if she deleted those messages she sent me? I hung up and threw my phone onto the couch. The doorbell kept ringing, sounding urgent. I quickly ran to the door and opened it, only to see a familiar yet distant face. A tall figure loomed over me, the scent of winter plum filling the space. It was a scent I hadn't smelled in 5 years. My nose stung as I held back tears. Lucas, why are you back? Lucas reached out and ruffled my curls. His voice was warm and deep. Long time no see. Lisa. Chapter 8. On New Year's Eve, the house was bustling with preparations for dinner, a rare and lively occasion. I had just hung up the lanterns when my mom asked me to answer the door. I thought it was just my dad forgetting his keys. But when I opened the door, I was greeted by Leo's unpleasant face. Our neighborhood consisted of separate little yards. So how had Leo climbed over the gate? My hand stopped on the doorknob, and I noticed the tear in his pant leg from the rose thorns. What are you doing here? Leo kept his head down, his voice slightly hoarse. Lisa, I misunderstood you that day. He cautiously reached a hand toward me, but without my permission. He didn't dare touch me. I saw the deleted chat history from Alice on the computer. It was her fault, and I already scolded her for you. I was getting annoyed, and I waved my hand, cutting him off. I motioned for him to leave. What's the point of telling me this now? Let me ask you one thing, when your little childhood sweetheart came to you for help, did you even doubt her for a single second? In your eyes, am I truly such a terrible person? Leo's brows furrowed tightly, and when he looked at me, his eyes were moist. The fact that he couldn't answer me said it all. I let out a cold laugh and gave him a push. You're not welcome here. Go away. Leo stumbled to the side from my shove, with his body out of the way. My view suddenly opened up. That's when I noticed a car parked at the gate, with Alice leaning her head out the window, looking our way. Our eyes met for a second. She looked startled but then quickly showed a provocative smile. It was as if she was saying, "You lost." I looked away and gave Leo a cold glance. You two really can't be apart for even a second. Can you? Leo was caught off guard by my sudden remark, his tone now careful. Alice's parents are working overtime tonight, and she's scared to be alone at home. I nodded knowingly. Of course, after all, she's your beloved little childhood sweetheart. You've got to take care of her for life. I glanced inside, wanting to grab someone to help out. A tall figure, wearing an apron while bustling around the dining table, caught all of my attention. I waved at him, and he immediately put down the dishes, smiling as he walked over to me. Lisa, who have you been chatting with at the door for so long? Lucas's deep gaze brushed over Leo as he looked down at me gently. Lisa, is this a friend of yours, here to wish us a happy new year? I smiled and took Lucas's arm, then gestured toward Leo with my chin. Let me introduce you, this is my childhood friend, Lucas. Leo bit his lip hard, his face instantly turning pale. Lisa, what is the meaning of this? I shrugged nonchalantly. Well, no choice, Lucas's parents are working late tonight too, and he was scared to be alone, so he came to have New Year's Eve dinner with us. Got a problem with that? I repeated Leo's words back to him, word for word. Chapter 9. Leo's gaze landed on my hand that was holding Lucas's arm. He took a few steps back in disbelief, then, seemingly unwilling to give up, suddenly rushed forward, trying to pull us apart. Lisa, we've been together for 3 years. How could I not know how much you love me? That childhood sweetheart thing, it's just you talking nonsense. Before I could react, Lucas stepped forward and shoved Leo away forcefully. Leo lost his balance, his body tilting backward, and he was about to fall to the ground. At the critical moment, Alice, who had been hiding in the car, appeared behind Leo and caught him. Alice's hand rested on Leo's waist in an intimate manner. Leo, I told you we shouldn't have come to find her. Has she given you a warm welcome? Look at her now. She's already found someone new. Maybe they were already sneaking around even before you two broke up. Before Alice could finish speaking, Leo slapped her across the face. That slap stunned not only Alice but also left Lucas and me in shock. Leo shook her hand off in disdain, his voice cold. When did I ever break up with Lisa? I only helped you out because we've been neighbors for so many years. What made you think you could interfere in my business? There wasn't a trace of emotion in Leo's voice. He sounded distant and indifferent. Alice covered her flushed cheek, tears streaming down like an open faucet. Leo, you hit me for an outsider? Weren't you the one who told me that your girlfriend was like a simp, easy to manipulate? Hearing that, I felt like a sharp thorn had pierced my heart. Every breath I took brought waves of pain. I exchanged a glance with Lucas, and we both shook our heads in resignation, unwilling to argue any further. Leo ignored her completely, turning instead to explain himself to me. Seeing the disappointment in my eyes, his voice trembled with anxiety. Lisa, don't listen to her nonsense. I never thought that way. I promise. I'll keep my distance from Alice from now on. Just please, don't get so close to your childhood friend, okay? I found it utterly ridiculous. Instead of listening to him, I moved even closer to Lucas. Leo, can't you get it through your head? We are already broken up. Even if I decide to start a relationship with Lucas right this moment, it has nothing to do with you. I held on to Lucas as we both took a step back into the house. I looked at Leo one last time, seeing his eyes filled with pleading, before firmly shutting the door in his face. Chapter 10. Leo and I weren't even in the same city, yet during the New Year holidays, he frequently showed up around my neighborhood, trying to win over my parents. He'd help my dad move heavy items or carry my mom's shopping bags. Sometimes, he even shamelessly followed my parents into the house, introducing himself as my boyfriend. When he said that, Lucas and I, who were sitting on the sofa watching TV, were both stunned. Lucas struggled to swallow a piece of fruit before speaking up in confusion. You're Lisa's boyfriend? Then does that make me the homewrecker? Man, I might like Lisa, but I'd never do something like steal someone else's girlfriend. You should be careful with your words. Don't make false accusations. That day was the first time I ever saw Leo shed tears. I almost wavered, feeling like maybe Leo did have his reasons. But as I watched him leave in despair from behind the curtain on the second floor, I saw Alice's figure. She was clinging to Leo, acting all cutesy. Leo shook her off, yelling hysterically, "Get lost! It's all because of you that Lisa left me." During the festive early days of the new year, Leo and Alice stood outside my house, crying. Leo went from initially rejecting Alice to breaking down emotionally, holding her tightly. Even while holding Alice, he kept sobbing. "Lisa, why did you break up with me? Didn't you say you liked me the most?" By now, I couldn't tell if Leo was just putting on a show for me or if he was genuinely expressing his emotions. But after that day, I never saw Alice again. One day, as I was returning home, I saw Leo once again at the gate. He was crouched under the winter-flowering plum tree, deep in thought, his shoes and pants covered in mud, looking utterly disheveled. The moment he saw me, he scrambled to his feet, raindrops streaming from his hair. But maybe he had been squatting for too long, his head seemed dizzy, and he had to lean weakly against the tree. His shoulder hit the trunk, causing a cascade of plum blossoms to fall. Without even looking at him, I calmly opened the gate. Leo suddenly grabbed my wrist, hurriedly trying to explain. "Lisa, I've already sent Alice home. I won't let her affect our relationship again. Can we talk this over?" I paused my movement, looking up at him. "Leo, what relationship do we have?" Before Leo could come up with a response, Lucas walked up the stone path toward me. He hadn't even had time to put on a coat. He held an umbrella as he came out to meet me. He angled the umbrella toward me, his voice cool. "Lisa, Mom asked me to come get you for dinner." Lucas gently wiped the raindrops off my face with his large, well-defined hand. That simple sentence left Leo utterly shattered. Leo's eyes turned red, tears welling up. "Lisa, what did he just say? What does he mean by our mom?" I locked the gate from the inside and met Leo's gaze through the bars. "Leo, if you're having hearing problems, you should get that checked at a hospital, and stop breaking into my yard. If you do it again, I'll really call the police." It had been almost a month since Leo and I broke up. I had thought breaking up would be painful, that it would leave me crushed. But to my surprise, once I truly saw Leo for who he was, my heart didn't hurt anymore. There was no painful withdrawal from leaving him. Lucas, sensing the moment, helped me tuck my hair behind my ear, his eyes filled with tenderness. "Lisa, forget about him. Let's go home." Chapter 11. I stood still, simply watching Leo, who looked utterly broken. He seemed to still be lost in his delusions, unable to believe what was happening in front of him. Yes, the doormat that had tolerated everything for 3 years, why had she suddenly stopped putting up with it? How could he not understand? Even the most loyal dog gets tired. My eyes started to burn, blurring my vision, making it hard to see Leo's face. I took a deep breath, as if I had finally made up my mind. "Leo, I liked you for 3 years, but what did you do? All you ever did was put me down in front of others. Deny everything about me. Leo hung his head, saying nothing. 2 lines of tears rolled down his cheeks. I felt a lump in my throat. Leo, I'm not your mother. I can't endlessly and unconditionally tolerate you. I'm also not some pet you can call and dismiss whenever you please, always wagging my tail for your attention. I'm a person, a living human being. When you belittled me, when you put me down, did you even feel the slightest bit of pain or regret for me? Leo's body trembled violently, overwhelmed by his emotions. He swallowed hard, his gaze dropping. I'm sorry. I never thought my careless jokes would hurt you. The moment Leo said that, it felt like my heart had been struck by something heavy. In that moment, I finally realized that Leo had never been capable of truly loving anyone. He couldn't love anyone, not me, not Alice. We were both nothing more than tools for him to amuse himself. That day, Lucas could no longer bear it. He rushed forward and began fighting Leo. Leo spat out several mouthfuls of blood, but he didn't fight back. He just knelt on the ground, weakly begging for my forgiveness over and over. Lisa, as long as you forgive me, as long as you don't break up with me, even if you beat me to death today, I'll accept it. I'm begging you, please, don't leave me. In my daze, images flashed through my mind, Leo belittling me over the past 3 years, only to put on a show of apologizing afterward. It turns out Leo didn't know how to apologize sincerely. He was just too arrogant, believing that no matter how deeply he hurt me, I would always forgive him with a smile. After that day, Leo disappeared from my life. He didn't call me anymore, nor did he wait outside my house. The day Lucas took me back to school, I saw Alice at the school gate. It was strange, despite being at the same school for 2 years. I had never run into her before, but now that I wanted nothing to do with her, I ended up seeing her twice in one day. As I passed her for the second time, I ignored her, holding Lucas's hand as we walked ahead. Suddenly, Alice called out to me, her tone full of reproach. Lisa, did you know Leo's got depression? Chapter 12. Hearing this news, I was indeed a bit shocked. Leo diagnosed with depression in less than a month? I asked emotionlessly. Did Leo diagnose himself? Alice stomped her feet angrily and pulled a diagnosis out of her bag, throwing it in front of me. I found this in Leo's trash. If it weren't for you, Leo wouldn't be sick at all. I crossed my arms, looking at the hysterical Alice in front of me with interest. Now, I had to admit, she loved Leo more than I did. I glanced down at the diagnosis that had fallen to the ground but didn't bend down to pick it up. Alice, Leo is depressed now. This is the perfect chance for you to take advantage. So why come to me? Alice choked on my words, glaring at me fiercely. She picked up the diagnosis that had fallen by my feet and suddenly lunged at me. Lisa, you're heartless. You don't deserve Leo's love. Before Alice's hand could touch me, Lucas blocked her. The usually easygoing Lucas showed a cold and distant expression for the first time. He grabbed Alice's wrist, his tone icy. I don't hit women, but if you don't know your place, I wouldn't mind teaching you a lesson on behalf of your parents. After saying that, Lucas released her wrist, pushing her back slightly. Alice was terrified, her face turning pale. She gritted her teeth in hatred, speaking venomously. Lisa, if Leo dies because of you, will your conscience really feel nothing? With those words, she turned and disappeared from my sight. I was stunned for a few seconds, staring at Alice's retreating figure. Lucas wrapped an arm around my shoulder, returning to his usual gentle demeanor. What is our Lisa thinking about? Didn't you say you'd show me around the campus? Lucas's words pulled me back to reality, and I forced a slight smile. I raised my eyes, just about to say something to Lucas, when I unexpectedly met his eyes full of affection. Lucas raised an eyebrow. What? Is your little childhood friend too handsome, and you've been staring at him? My heart skipped a beat, and I hurriedly looked away, avoiding his gaze. Lucas's eyes could indeed steal a soul. Nonsense. I wasn't. Chapter 13. 5 years ago, Lucas went abroad to study. Back then, I was just starting my second year of high school. He had been with me for 17 years, but just when I needed him the most, he chose to leave. I was down for almost 2 years until I met Leo in college. At that time, I really didn't expect anything to happen between me and Leo. But in my freshman winter, I heard some news. Lucas had gotten a girlfriend abroad. In the deep winter, during a heavy snowfall, I walked alone on an empty campus, crying aloud. My first teenage crush ended just like that, without closure. It was during that time that I met Leo, standing outside my dorm holding a bouquet of roses. He said he liked me and wanted to be my boyfriend. I couldn't see any sincerity in Leo's eyes, nor did I feel any love, but out of spite, I took the bouquet and nodded in agreement. For 3 years, I never told Leo that I didn't actually like roses. Roses were Leo's favorite flower, not mine. The flower I had always loved was the wintersweet. But from the moment I chose to date Leo, I gradually opened my heart to him and gave him all my sincerity. Slowly, I seemed to forget about Lucas, the scent of wintersweet that always lingered around him. As I sat by the lake, telling Lucas about this part of my past, I felt an unprecedented sense of peace. Lucas, however, was far from calm. He jumped up, raising his voice by several notches. Lisa, who told you I had a girlfriend back then? I didn't even lift my eyelids, not daring to meet his gaze. Your mom. Lucas froze completely. He ran a hand through his perfectly styled hair, biting his teeth in frustration. My mom kept pushing me to get a girlfriend, and I lied just to get some peace. He paused, his face flushing a bit. Besides, when I mentioned a girlfriend, I was actually talking about you. I abruptly looked up, meeting his eyes filled with deep affection. It turned out that my feelings at 17 weren't one-sided. Lucas and I had always been mutual. Even after clearing things up with Lucas, we didn't confirm our relationship. After all, it had been 5 years. Even the deepest feelings could gradually fade with time. Lucas ruffled my curly hair, leaning down slightly to meet my eyes. I'm not in a hurry. Now that I'm back, I'll be here waiting for you. Chapter 14. In the last semester of senior year, Leo didn't return to campus. From the bits and pieces I heard from classmates, I realized Leo was really sick, seriously sick. On the day we took our graduation photos, just when everyone thought Leo wouldn't show up, he appeared. After months apart, Leo looked completely different. The light had faded from his once beautiful eyes, now clouded and lost. I hid in the crowd, silently observing the weary-looking Leo. He was holding a bouquet of roses, trudging through the crowd towards me. Lisa, congratulations on graduating. I looked down at the familiar roses, then up at Leo's hopeful eyes. Amid the cheers from the crowd, I didn't move a muscle. I didn't take the flowers. Instead, I simply said, Leo, after all this time, did you still not notice? I'm allergic to roses. Leo froze, like it was the first time he'd ever heard that. Realizing he brought the wrong flowers, he frantically hid them behind his back, his voice trembling as he spoke. Lisa, I didn't know. I'm sorry. I bluntly exposed his weak excuse. I told you, you just chose not to remember. The second time Leo gave me roses, I had already told him I was allergic. I even showed him my arm covered in rashes. At the time, Leo had simply turned away in disgust, saying, keep your arm away from me. Just looking at it makes my trypophobia act up. Gross. Leo's face changed, and he tossed the flowers aside like they were burning him. He desperately grabbed my hand, his voice full of humility. Lisa, tell me what flowers you like, and I'll bring them to you every day. After a few months, when Leo touched me again, my immediate reaction was to avoid him. I pulled my hand away forcefully, and in the process, I saw several scars crisscrossed on his wrist. One of the scars seemed fresh, still oozing blood. Leo recoiled like he'd been electrocuted, trying to cover the scars. Lisa, don't look. I don't want to scare you. During his time with depression, Leo had resorted to self-harm. Alice had already messaged me about it a while ago. At that time, she had pleaded with me sincerely to go see Leo. Lisa, have you no conscience at all? Do you really need to wait until the day you see Leo's corpse before you kneel down and beg for his forgiveness? It's not that I'm heartless. I once truly cared for Leo. It's just unfortunate that it had come to this. After I refused, Alice lost control completely. She sent me countless messages, cursing me to die a horrible death. Before I could reply, Lucas grabbed my phone and called the police. Hello. I'd like to report someone threatening my girlfriend. After that, Alice was warned by the police, and she disappeared from our lives. I pulled my hand back and glanced at Leo. Don't worry. A few scars like that don't scare me. There wasn't a hint of emotion or turbulence in my voice. Seeing those scars meant nothing more to me than seeing anything else. Nothing special at all. Chapter 15. Leo, with reddened eyes, bowed his head to me once more. Lisa, you've grown bolder. And that's good. Yes, that's really good. He wanted to say more to me, but I had already run out of patience. Lucas was standing a short distance away, smiling at me. I stood on my tiptoes and waved at Lucas with a smile, making no attempt to hide my affection for him. Leo followed my gaze, looking at Lucas in his white shirt. He forced a self-deprecating smile and shook his head. Lisa, haven't you realized that he and I are very similar? In truth, you've always loved me. Why deceive yourself by finding a substitute? I turned around, surprised, and looked at Leo. Who told you he's a substitute? I forgot to mention that when I was 17, I already liked Lucas. Tell me, who here is really the substitute? In truth, I never treated anyone as a stand-in for anyone else. I respect each individual and value every relationship. When I had a crush on Lucas, I was wholehearted. When I was with Leo, I also gave him everything. I don't owe anyone anything, and no one has the right to judge me. Leo, I admit I used to like you, but I don't anymore. If you want to hurt yourself, if you want to die, that's up to you. It has nothing to do with me. Your life is your own. If you don't value it, why would anyone else? I gave him one last deep look, a complete farewell to the past 3 years. Leo loosened his hand, which had been clenched over his scars, and a few droplets of blood instantly seeped out. He looked like a child trying to gain attention by self-harming, and after being heartlessly exposed, he seemed both awkward and panicked. His voice was hoarse, repeating, Lisa, it's not like that. It really isn't. I could see Leo's dissatisfaction and longing for our relationship. But what did that prove? Did it prove that his constant belittling and humiliation of me were acts of love? I interrupted him. Leo, there are so many people in this world. Why are you so fixated on me? Let me go, and let yourself go too. With that, I lifted my skirt and ran towards Lucas. All that was left behind was Leo, slumped on the ground, forlorn and defeated. After graduation, Lucas and I returned to our hometown to work. On the flight back home, I was staring at the clouds below when I suddenly caught a refreshing scent of wintersweet. It wasn't like perfume. It felt more natural. But in the middle of summer, where could there be wintersweet? I turned my head and saw Lucas holding a small bouquet of flowers wrapped in green leaves. Lucas, slightly flustered, spoke with a bit of a stammer. I know you like wintersweet, but since it's summer now, I could only find summer wintersweet. I hope you like it. A blush crept across his face, and he looked down as he nervously fiddled with the flowers in his hands. For a moment, it was like I was seeing the 17-year-old boy I had fallen in love with. The boy who stood outside my building and softly said, Lisa, just wait 4 or 5 years, and I'll come back. You have to be good and wait for me. I smiled and plucked a small white wintersweet flower from the bouquet. Lucas, you know, I've always loved wintersweet.